Galyna Saltkovska gets by with a little help from her friends, fellow Bravolebs included. The Missouri-based businesswoman from the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys, was joined by the Real Housewives of Orange County, newlyweds Alexis Bellino and Janssen. They're in Alexis's hometown to visit loved ones, where they experienced the joy and light of Hannibal, Missouri. Said Galyna in her October 21 Instagram post, "After a week full of challenges and emotions, I found peace where it matters most, in the company of family and true friends." Galyna included a mountain of photos of them at an outdoor festival, featuring enticing eats, barroom dancing, and time spent with her only daughter, Irina Chapels. Alexis shared Instagram pictures too, and included a video of their late-night shenanigans through the empty streets where there's no Ubers, as she noted. The timing of Galyna's post came 5 days after her ex-boyfriend and McBee Farm and Cattle co-founder, Steven McBee Sr, was sentenced to serve 2 years in federal prison, plus pay a $4 million, plus order of restitution following his crop insurance fraud conviction. Alexis had her BFFs back when she commented under Galyna's post, "Girl, sometimes all you need is some cheese soup and a fish sandwich from Hannibal," adding 2 laughing emojis. "Love you, and we will always find light in the tough emotions. Fight on, baby girl." Galyna Saltkovska and the McBee Dynasty cast react to Steven Sr.'s sentencing. Galyna joined Steven Sr.'s sons, who include Steven McBee Jr., Jesse McBee, Cole McBee, and Braden McBee, in supporting Steven Sr. once a federal judge sentenced the farming and ranching patriarch to 24 months in prison. She shared a copy of Theodore Roosevelt's famous 1910 "Man in the Arena" speech on her Instagram stories while tagging her boss. Steven Sr. shared the same, adding in the caption a quote from William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, "Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once." What to know about Steven McBee Sr.'s conviction? In November 2024, Steven Sr. pleaded guilty in a Kansas City federal court, admitting that he engaged in fraudulent activity from 2018 to 2020 that caused an economic loss to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Per his plea with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of Missouri, specifically, he fessed to underreporting corn and soybean crop yields to unlawfully claim $3 million via insurance fraud. Following the grandfather's guilty plea, he issued a statement through Jesse on the family's Meet the McBees podcast stating, "The buck stops with me." Where is Steven McBee Sr. now ahead of his prison sentence? Steven McBee Sr. is leaning on his faith and spending time in the outdoors until the time comes for him to serve his sentence. While Galyna and Alexis were out and about in eastern Missouri, Steven spent quality time over the weekend with his pugs, Gunnar and Conan, back in Gallatin, basking in the crisp autumn air and watching the sun go down. He shared Romans 8:28 from Scripture, writing, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." He has until December 1 to turn himself over to the federal prison camp in Yankton, South Dakota. Galyna Saltkovska has learned that sometimes healing doesn't come from silence. It comes from laughter, music, and the company of friends who show up when life feels heavy. After a whirlwind week filled with emotions and public headlines, the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys, star traded boardrooms and Missouri farmland for a little hometown comfort. And she didn't go alone. Joining her for the weekend was none other than the Real Housewives of Orange County newlyweds, Alexis Bellino and Janssen. The couple made the trip to Alexis's hometown of Hannibal, Missouri, where Galyna welcomed them with open arms, and a reminder that even in life's hardest seasons, joy still finds its way in. In her October 21 Instagram post, Galyna shared a carousel of photos capturing what she called a weekend of peace and perspective. The images were warm and unfiltered, carnival lights glowing against a small-town sky, street vendors serving up Midwest favorites, and spontaneous dancing under twinkling ballroom string lights. After a week full of challenges and emotions, she wrote, "I found peace where it matters most, in the company of family and true friends." It wasn't just a caption, it was a statement of resilience. The weekend looked like pure Americana, fall jackets, laughter echoing down empty streets, and Alexis joking in one video that there were no Ubers in Hannibal. As the group wandered home past midnight, giggling like teenagers. Galyna's daughter, Irina Chapels, also joined in on the festivities, smiling beside her mother in several pictures. A quiet but powerful reminder that even in times of upheaval, love and support remain constant. For Galyna, the trip wasn't just an escape, it was an exhale. Just 5 days earlier, her ex-boyfriend and business partner, Steven McBee Sr., the patriarch behind McBee Farm and Cattle Co., was sentenced to serve 2 years in federal prison and ordered to pay more than $4 million in restitution following a crop insurance fraud conviction. It was a moment that shook not only the McBee family, but the Bravo viewing audience that had followed their story from the start. Yet in classic Galyna fashion, she faced it all with quiet grace. Rather than engaging in public commentary or drama, she let her actions, and her strength, speak for her. When she posted about her weekend getaway, Alexis Bellino was quick to jump into the comments with words of love and levity. "Girl, sometimes all ye need is some cheese soup and a fish sandwich from Hannibal. Love you, and we will always find light in the tough emotions. Fight on, baby girl." It was a message that summed up their friendship. 2 women from different corners of the Bravo universe, finding solidarity in each other's strength. A storm before the calm. Back home, however, the ripple effects of Steven Sr.'s sentencing were still being felt across Missouri. On the same day the judge handed down the 24-month prison term, Galyna joined Steven's sons, Steven Jr., Jesse, Cole, and Braden, in showing public support for the man they all once called their leader. Her message wasn't one of defiance, but of endurance. On Instagram stories, Galyna shared Theodore Roosevelt's iconic "Man in the Arena" speech, a passage often cited by those who have been through trials, both literal and emotional. "It is not the critic who counts," Roosevelt wrote, "but the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, but who does actually strive to do the deeds." It was a subtle but poignant gesture, a reflection of loyalty, forgiveness, and perhaps a quiet hope that redemption is still possible. Steven Sr. himself posted the same quote, adding a line from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. "Cowards die many times before their deaths, the valiant never taste of death but once." It was the kind of poetic stoicism that has defined Steven Sr. since the beginning, a man unafraid to shoulder the blame, but determined to move forward with faith. The conviction that changed everything. According to court documents, in November 2024, Steven McBee Sr. pleaded guilty in a Kansas City federal court to engaging in fraudulent activity between 2018 and 2020. The plea detailed that he underreported corn and soybean crop yields, resulting in approximately $3 million in fraudulent insurance claims. The act caused economic loss to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a serious offense, but one Steven Sr. addressed head-on. Following the plea, he released a statement through his son Jesse on the family's Meet the McBees podcast. "The buck stops with me." It was short, simple, and deeply telling. For a man who built his empire on accountability, those 5 words marked both an ending and a beginning, a recognition of mistakes and a promise to do better. Searching for solace in faith and family. Since the sentencing, Steven Sr. has reportedly been spending quiet days at his Gallatin home, preparing for the months ahead. Over the weekend, while Galyna and Alexis were out finding joy in Hannibal, Steven stayed close to the land that made him who he is. He spent time with his two pugs, Gunner and Coman, sharing photos of the trio on his Instagram stories, the sunset casting long shadows across the fields. In one post, he shared a verse from Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. It was a reminder that faith, for Steven, remains unbroken. His world may have shifted, but his foundation, his belief in grace, forgiveness, and second chances, still stands firm. He has until December 1 to report to the federal prison camp in Yankton, South Dakota, a low-security facility often referred to as the gentleman's prison, for its emphasis on rehabilitation over punishment. Until then, he seems intent on soaking in every sunrise, every moment with family, and every opportunity to reflect. Finding light in friendship. Meanwhile, Galyna's journey has taken on new meaning. She's not hiding, and she's not bitter. Instead, she's leaning into what she calls life's reset, rediscovering simple joys, embracing laughter, and surrounding herself with people who bring light instead of noise.